Border control is strict. Only the vaccinated are allowed to ride buses and enter establishments.
Bawal na magawas-gawas.
Bawal na raw kasing lumabas pag walang bakuna. Di sana ako papabakuna, hassle kasi. Di ka man lang makakapasok ng mall.
Based on the city LGU's executive order, only the fully jabbed can enter malls and other indoor establishments.
Pag
dumating ang oras na hindi talaga papalabasin ng mga bakunado, dito na lang kami magpakulong sa loob ng bahay.
Good evening, I'm Gretchen Ho.
I'm Robbie Alampay. You're watching The Big Story. In a bid to prevent any further spike in COVID-19 cases, Cebu City has barred unvaccinated individuals from malls and other indoor establishments.
But Cebu Governor Gwen Garcia has a different take. Jenny Dongon has the big story.
No vaccine, no entry signages are all over Cebu City. This comes after City Mayor Mike Rama issued an executive order limiting entry to indoor establishments to fully job individuals. Mang Jimmy, a mall security guard, was even barred from his workplace.
Gwardiya din ako pero wala pa akong panahon para umuwi sa probinsya at doon magpabakuna.
Rama said that the order must be strictly implemented to curb the continued spike of COVID cases in the city. For 2 consecutive days, Cebu City has logged 500 to 700 cases, pushing active cases to over 4,300. Based on the LGU's report, over 655,000 Cebuanos have already been inoculated with their first COVID-19 shot, while around 340,000 had the full dose. They target to inoculate more than 1 million residents.
To encourage more vaccines, Cebu City Mayor Mike Rama said fully vaccinated residents will have a chance to win motorcycles, this brand new car, and house and lot.
But for others like Mang Nicanor, nothing can make him get jobbed, even after his entire family got the virus.
Pag dumating ang oras na hindi talaga papalabasin ng mga bakunado, dito na lang kami magpakulong sa loob ng bahay.
Ayaw niyo talaga magpapakuna, sir?
Ayaw talaga, ma'am.
But the likes of Mang Nicanor might have found refuge in Cebu Governor Gwen Garcia. Garcia ordered all local chief executives to refrain from requiring vaccination for any educational, employment, and government transactions.
As I have always said, vaccination is a matter of choice. If you choose not to be vaccinated, you should not be ostracized. Why? Let me just repeat this. It's in the law itself.
Cebu City, Mandaue City, and Lapu-Lapu City are exempted from Garcia's issued memorandum. For News 5, Jenny Dongon, We Are One News.
As several local governments come up with their own vaccine rules, are the rights of the unvaccinated being infringed upon? To discuss that, we have Attorney Gilbert Andres, Deputy Director of Center Law. Attorney Sen. Andres, welcome to the Big Story.
Good evening, Robbie, and good evening, Gretchen.
Attorney, ano ba talaga ang poder ng local governments dito? And for that matter, the national government, who actually has the authority to mandate any kind of mandatory vaccine protocols?
Well, if we look at the vaccine protocols, it's really just Congress. In fact, if we will focus, there are many vaccine mandates. Let's just focus on the no vaccine, no right policy. What kind of right is being impinged? It's the right to travel. And is there a constitutional provision on the right to travel? There is. It's in Article 3, the Bill of Rights of the Constitution, Section 6. It provides that neither shall the right to travel be impaired except in the interests of national security, public safety, or public health, as may be provided by law. So it's clear from Section 6 of the Bill of Rights that it's only Congress that can pass a no vaccine, no right law.
So there is a way to strike a balance here between police powers and public health and fundamental rights of people. But the bottom line is it has to be Congress.
Yes, because why does it have to be Congress? Because remember, Congress is composed of the representatives of the people. And there's actually public debate in Congress as opposed to just one person. For example, the DOTR secretary issuing the department administrative order. So if it's Congress, there's actually a robust discussion on whether or not it will affect the rights of the people.
Okay, Attorney Andres, maraming salamat po. Meanwhile, in Metro Manila, Octa Research Fellow Guido David says daily COVID cases are on a downtrend. More than 8,000 cases were reported in Metro Manila. That is still the lowest since numbers dipped below 10,000 in January 5, according to Professor Guido David. David also notes the reproduction rate in NCR has come down to 1.79, while the weekly growth rate is now at negative 10%. David says while the numbers are encouraging, NCR is still facing a surge as the average daily attack rate and positivity rates are still high.
These are the other big stories tonight. Booster shots in drugstores. We check in on day one of government's risk bakuna sa butika. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. VP aspirant Sara Duterte Carpio bears plans to bring back mandatory military training. And speaking of trees, an 80-year-old man was arrested for picking mangoes in a tree he allegedly doesn't own. His detention got many people's sympathy. These big stories after the break.
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. Close to 2 years into the pandemic, the government finally rolled out its vaccination program in drugstores.
For today, only 4 pharmacies in Metro Manila administered jabs, but authorities hope to expand this nationwide very soon. JC Cosico with this report.
Tents and chairs were set up at the parking area of this drugstore in Malate, Manila. This is for the triage, as select pharmacies begin rolling out COVID-19 vaccines on Thursday. The initiative is dubbed Res Bakuna sa Butika. The actual administration of the shot and monitoring will be done in the pharmacy. To avoid mix-ups and overcrowding, regular customers and vaccinees were placed in different queues. The main vaccine area was placed at the side of the drugstore so as not to affect the regular operations.
Hindi naman kayo naabala?
Hindi naman. Hindi, maluwag na ngayon eh. Dahil kunti lang yung tao.
Vaccinees welcome the systems in place.
Mas magiging accessible po after ng vaccine dose. Dediretso na rin po sa mga pharmacy. Meron na pong accessible na mga medication for it.
The health department assured that those who will administer the shots underwent training.
They are trained to first and foremost observe the entire process of vaccination, from registration to education and counseling to finding out if they have existing comorbidities to the actual vaccination.
Duque said their service will also be free of charge. However, walk-ins are not allowed and vaccinees must pre-register. The number of vaccinees a drugstore can accommodate will depend on the number of registrants. As of now, 7 pharmacies and clinics are participating in the initiative. The government is also looking into expanding this to nearby regions and eventually nationwide.
Sasamantalahin natin yung kanilang presyensya sa mga iba't ibang mga lugar, lalo na yung mahirap abutin ng ating mga kababayan, yung kanilang mga vaccination sites. Pero kinakailangan pa rin may tamang sukat yung lugar na kung saan isasagawa ang bakuna sa butika. Dahil hindi mo pwedeng maliit.
Pharmacies, for their part, have also been coordinating with their regional counterparts in support of the initiative. As of January 19, over 56 million have been fully vaccinated, while more than 5.6 million have gotten boosters. For News 5, JC Cosico, We Are One News.
While the Philippines restricts movements to battle a surge over in the UK, government is expected to lift COVID rules soon. The UK is set to do away with restrictions as experts say the Omicron surge in England has reached its peak, supposedly. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson says face masks will no longer be mandatory in public places and COVID-19 passports will be dropped for large events starting January 27. Official figures show that COVID infections have dropped in most parts of the UK for the first time since early December. In the US, meanwhile, 400 million N95 masks are up for distribution starting next week. The free masks will be sourced from the national stockpile and will be distributed to pharmacies and community centers for pickup. This is believed to be the largest deployment of personal protective equipment in US history.
For the big story in sports, from the volleyball court to the Pinoy Big Brother house, on the special interview, the phenom Alyssa Valdez shares her housemate journey inside the reality TV show and whether or not she will return to the sport that she loves. My hot take on Alyssa Valdez.
Welcome to the outside world, Alyssa Valdez!
Wow! Hi, Gretchen! Ho, ho, ho! Hello, it's nice to see you. Grabe. I took that time talaga to rest. And to... Actually, I haven't read anything also on social media. So, more of parang talagang ginamit ko yung time na yun para maka-recover din. Kasi syempre, iba din yung experience sa loob ng bahay. Nagkaroon din ako ng time for myself.
Nagulat ka ba paglabas mo?
Nagulat ako sa outside world, sa suporta na binigay nila sa akin. Sa campaign, sa journey ko sa PBB. Hindi ko rin ine-expect na aabot ako sa dulo.
Gusto ko lang sabihin, isa ako doon sa mga sumuporta sa'yo.
Wow!
Alam mo kung anong nire-reactan ko? Yung mga rapping mo na simpleng tao. Oh my God, in fairness sa acting skills mo
Wow!
Meron
Gretch, alam naman tayo, pag binigyan ng challenge, talagang confidence lang yung ipapanglaban natin. Sa lahat ng ginawa ko, confidence lang yung pag-rap, pagkanta, pag-act.
Anong sinabi ng magulang mo sa'yo paglabas mo ng bahay?
Ito talaga sinabi ng magulang ko. Sabi niya, bakit hindi mo alam kung kailan ilalagay ang patatas pag gumagawa ng adobo? Sabi ko talaga, oh my goodness.
Nahirapan ka ba at one point?
People know naman na I'm such a private person then I don't usually share stuff on social media. But in PBB, it's a total opposite talaga. Natutunan ko siguro sa sarili ko na mas nalaman ko or naramdaman ko kung ano yung mga core values ko. You give parang kindness to everyone, you share positivity to everyone. Talaga yung mga little things also that matters.
Confirm or deny? Walang Alyssa sa unang PVL Open Conference?
Deny. Hindi ko sure kung bakit nagkaroon ng ganon.
Paano kung nagka-conflict ang national team sa Pinoy Big Brother?
Even before din ako pumasok, I really told my management also, na syempre, andito ako, hindi rin naman ako makakapasok kung wala yung volleyball. So, priority ko din talaga, volleyball.
Kung kunin ka ng national team, game na.
Game na! Wow. Talk show.
Paano yan? Hindi ka mananalo big winner.
Kung para sa atin naman talaga, feeling ko mag-fall lahat sa place din yung...
Teka, competitive ako. Dapat maging big winner ka. Last question. Fill in the blanks. Alyssa after PBB is blank.
Sa loob, siguro yun yung napakadaming beses ko umiyak. Never kong nagawa labas. And it's not being weak talaga. It's just that you have feelings, you have emotions na sometimes nasusupress din natin. Pero kailangan pala natin siyang malabas. And parang kahit pa paano, natulungan talaga ako ng PBB to realize that.
Time for another quick break. When we return. Years after ROTC was made optional, VP aspirant Sara Duterte says she wants to make it mandatory again. What do other candidates have to say about this? Meanwhile, people chip in to bail out an 80-year-old lolo in Pangasinan who was arrested for allegedly stealing mangoes. And from Lolo to Lola, a kids show in Cartoon Network has a Lola character who speaks Bisaya. Talk about representation. These stories after the break.
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. Help has poured in for an 84-year-old lolo in Pangasinan after he was detained for allegedly stealing mangoes from a neighbor's tree.
That neighbor has already spoken up, maintains that what Lolo Nardo did was wrong. Marian Enriquez with the rest of the story.
This bench has been Lolo Nardo's home for the past week. He has been in detention for allegedly stealing 10 kilos of mangoes from his neighbor. Sympathy poured overnight for 84-year-old Lolo Nardo Flores of Asingan, Pangasinan. Lolo Nardo is single and lives with his brother and nieces. He said a buyer asked him to pick mangoes from the tree for 1,000 pesos.
Apay nga kinayat yung impapitas, impaburas, dayjay nga mangga. Apay nga pinaburas yo.
Okay, naigatang timakan.
Wala daw kasi pambili ng...
Bagas, nagatagan na amin na makan. Kaya may... milad sa pulan may...
He says his father planted the mango tree. It's just that the new caretaker built a wall beside it.
Tungtong ko, hindi na kaya naayosay na. Mula nila dyan, hindi nagalad na sinakop na.
The complainant's family meanwhile insisted that they were the ones who planted the mango tree.
Ako po yung kuya ko, siya po mismo yung nagtanim, sir. Paano po magiging sa kanya? May alad na po siya. Bago pa, mayroong mangga.
They said they have been talking to Lolo Nardo. They're willing to withdraw the case if only Lolo Nardo was apologetic. They also want a public apology from netizens after all the bashing they have received.
Kawawa naman po yung father ko, mabuti pong tao yung father ko. Tapos may pagbabanta pa sa father ko.
The incident happened last April 2021, but since the two camps did not settle in the barangay, the case went up to the court until the prosecutor found a probable cause for theft. Lolo Nardo failed to file a counter affidavit, and an arrest warrant was served last January 13. Lolo Nardo's family had a hard time to pay the 6,000 bail. The police themselves chipped in for Lolo Nardo to post bail.
Nakakadurog po ng puso, ma'am. Kasi po, matanda na po siya. Imbis na gugulin na lang po niya yung oras niya po sa labas.
Lolo Nardo arrived at their home around 12 noon. Food packs with rice, bread, and canned goods also started to pour in. And though it's been a tough week, what's important for Lolo Nardo is he's finally home with his family. For News 5, Marian Enriquez, we are One News.
Vice presidential hopefuls are blasting Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte for her proposal to make military service mandatory for the youth. Del De Vera has this story.
If elected Vice President, Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte would like to take a page from Israel and South Korea. She proposes to make military training mandatory for those aged 18 and above.
Hindi po ROTC lang na isang subject o isang weekend o isang buwan sa isang taon. You will be given a subsidy. You will be asked to serve our country doon sa ating armed forces of the Philippines.
Mandatory military training was scrapped in 2002 after the controversial killing of University of Santo Tomas cadet Mark Chua. Inday Sara's proposal did not sit well with her fellow VP aspirant, former lawmaker Walden Bello. In a tweet, Bello said that Sara is just like his father, President Duterte, who wants to arm people and kill. He said Sara is a dictator in waiting. In her retort, Sara said that the military service would inspire patriotism and prepare the youth for disasters and rescue operations. Apart from the said program, Duterte's unity with presidential aspirant Bongbong Marcos also unveiled its senatorial ticket. Included in the list are Senators Sherwin Gatchalian and Juan Miguel Zubiri, as well as Deputy Majority Floor Leader Loren Legarda, former cabinet officials Harry Roque, Mark Villar, and Gilbert Chodoro, celebrity politicians Jinggoy Estrada and Herbert Bautista, Representative Rodante Marcoleta, and Marcos loyalist and lawyer Larry Gadon.
Ang aming ipinaglalaban ay mapagbuklod-buklod natin ang kakayahan at ang galing at ang sipag at ang bait ng Pilipino.
The coalition on Wednesday also bragged about getting the support of 11 mayors in Camarines Sur during a meeting in Makati. Camp Sur is a known bailiwick of Marcos's strongest competitor, Vice President Leni Robredo. But on Thursday, two of the mayors denied this. In a Facebook post, Mayor Anthony Reyes said his president is indeed BBM, meaning babaeng Bicolan ng maganda. Reyes said the meeting was supposed to be just a meeting for the League of Municipalities, but Marcos's ally and LMP National President Chavin Singson said otherwise.
Nobody forced them. Sila mismo nagpuluntari na pupunta. Alam nila na pupunta kami doon. At maski bumaliktad sila, I can respect them.
For News 5, Dale De Vera, we're One News.
Another chart-topping hit for Disney, as the song from animated movie Encanto reaches 29 million streams, soundtrack in 26 years. The song We Don't Talk About Bruno is all anyone is talking about and singing along to. We Don't Talk About Bruno has overtaken Broadway star Lin-Manuel Miranda's We Don't Talk About Bruno has overtaken Oscar-winning hit Let It Go, which until recently held the title of most successful Billboard Hot 100 Disney soundtrack in 26 years. Meanwhile, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, heartbreaking news as the star of the upcoming Moon Knight series passed away in a ski accident. French actor Gaspard Ulliel, also known for his portrayal of fashion mogul Yves Saint Laurent, died on the Alps at the age of 37. Ulliel's passing happened a day after the Moon Knight trailer's debut, where he was set to play Midnight Man. For News 5, MJ Marfori, we are One News.
A Filipino character in Cartoon Network. It's not the first time, but Pinoys online could not help but get excited.
Cartoon Network's kids show Craig of the Week just featured a Lola character speaking in Bisaya. In the now viral scene, Eileen introduces her Lola to the main character Craig and shows him how to properly do mano po.
This comes as no surprise as the show's supervising director Tiffany Ford is a Filipino-American with roots in Cebu. The show was praised by many viewers for bringing Filipino culture on screen.
I do know that whenever we say hi to her, we gotta do the bless. Hey, Lola!
Oh, kagwapo. Imoning boyfriend?
Lola!
I love it. You know, speaking of lolos and lolas, have you watched the Spider-Man?
Oh.
Meron doon Filipino Lola.
Tama.
Oo, di ba?
Yung Lola ng kaibigan ng best friend ni Spider-Man.
Oo, nakaka-proud naman because it highlights, I think, one of the best things about Filipino culture, yung respeto sa mas nakakatanda.
Pero yung isang storya natin nakakadurog ng puso. Speaking of another lolo, di ba? Siyempre, ang isa ring value natin is yung pangangapit bahay, pakikisama. Ano ba naman yung makipagtunguhan tayo?
Sana binigay na lang yung pamasko, yung mga...
baka naman madadaan sa usapan. Pero talagang nakakadurog ng puso, pero nakakataba rin ng puso seeing how everybody came to help.
Talaga nakakataba ng puso makita ka ngayon. Welcome back, partner.
Maraming salamat. Nakakamiss naman talaga mag-report dito. I'd rather come here rather than sit down 1.5 hours. Sakit din sa likod.
Konting intay lang. Oo, mayayakap na kita.
Kaya.
Distancing tayo. Well, that wraps up today's big story. Catch us again tomorrow at 8 p.m. on Signal Channels 8 and 250.
Please like our Facebook page, One News. For more in-depth analysis, visit our webpage, onenews.ph. Mask on.
Wash
And
hands.
stay safe, Philippines. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. We are One News. Have a good evening.